Hey folks, elder law care attorney Patrick Kelleher coming to you from elderlawcare.com. Folks, got a great question today from a subscriber. Got an email. Hey Patrick, could you please explain the Medicaid look back period? What does that mean? What does Medicaid mean by a look back period? Looking back at what? Folks, really important that you know the rules of engagement around Medicaid because they say 70% of people, 70% of people 70 and over will need some level of long-term care someday, and that could be assisted living, or it could be even worse, skilled nursing facility. So folks, really important that you know about the rules of engagement when it comes to Medicaid planning, all right? So let's talk about the look back period, folks. So the question you ought to ask yourselves is the following. If either you or your spouse became completely incapacitated, how would you ever pay for the 18 or maybe even $20,000 per month private paid nursing home? Whether it's 18,000 or $20,000 per month, look at the actuarial statistics, say the average stay in a nursing home is about 3 years. So when you run the numbers, even at $18,000 per month times 3 years, 36 months, get the calculator out. How much is that? It's $648,000. So question for you at home. Do you have $648,000 earmarked in your piggy bank to cover a medical catastrophe if either you or your spouse became completely incapacitated? And most folks will say, no, we do not have that. Do not have the financial means to pay for it. You might be looking at applying for Medicaid benefits. We've helped many clients over the years qualify for Medicaid benefits, and the clients, before they can qualify, have to furnish 5 years. That's a 5-year look back period. So that's the timeline under current law. In every state in America, to the best of my knowledge, it's 5 years, with the exception of California, is about 3 years. But here locally in Massachusetts and all other states, it's a 5-year look back period. And the 5-year look back period is at the time that you are applying for the Medicaid benefits. The Medicaid caseworker is going to look at all your finances, looking back, the look back period, 5 years into your past at all your financial records. So you have to furnish shoe boxes and sometimes bankers boxes worth of financial records of all your transactions, of all your transfers. And in that application process, they're going to ask you questions like, hey, Bill and Mary, have you transferred any assets within the past 5 years? Bill and Mary, have you gifted or given any money away to children, grandchildren within the past 5 years from the date of application, looking back? So January 2025, you're applying for Medicaid benefits. The Medicaid caseworker can look back under the Medicaid rules back to January 2020, 5-year look back period at all your financial activity. Any transfers, any gifts being given, that will create what they call a penalty period. A penalty period, they're going to pull out their denial stamp and they're going to say, no bueno, you are not getting your Medicaid benefits until that penalty period is fixed or cured. And how do you fix or cure a penalty period? The recipient of that gift, say it's a child, Mo, Larry, and Curly, and say mom and dad gave money to Curly for some financial needs, Curly would have to return that money back to mom and dad to cure that penalty. And in the real world, from our experience, if a child is in financial distress and they're borrowing money from their elderly parents, that adult child likely does not have that money any longer. And that's an unfortunate thing. So they cannot cure the penalty. So folks, be very, very careful in giving gifts away, especially as you enter the fourth quarter of life, because then you are most vulnerable. You are at a higher risk of, and most probable of needing Medicaid benefits because you're closer to possibly becoming incapacitated. And if you made any gifts, typically greater than $1,000 to any individual who's not a spouse or an exemption person under Medicaid rules, there's going to be a penalty period. And they're not going to approve the Medicaid benefits until either that penalty is cured with the money being paid back, and we just talked about that. Typically, that's not too promising. And the other alternative is to wait out the penalty period. And depending on the amount of the gift, and Medicaid has a formula called the penalty divisor formula, it could be several months or could be a year, depending on the amount of the gift that was given. So let's run through that. Let's talk about the solution. Step one, you need to create your irrevocable Medicaid Asset Protection Trust. And I have other videos on this on our YouTube channel as well. Medicaid Asset Protection Trust. When you are alive and well, say third quarter of life, early fourth quarter, no later. This is your trust, but it's not a magic red book. Step one is completed. Now you're graduating from the freshman class to the junior varsity class. Step two, trust funding. You have to transfer your home into your trust because that commences that 5-year clock to begin to run. Then, folks, you need to do your part. Same sage advice I gave my late mom after my dad passed in the nursing home. Eat your fruit and vegetables. Take the dog for a walk. Take care of your flower garden. Stay unincapacitated for at least 5 years. So there you have it, folks, right there. The key is getting that 5-year look back period. So if you have to apply for Medicaid benefits, the coast is clear when that Medicaid caseworker is looking back 5 years on your transfers, okay? You need to beat that 5-year look back period. Folks, thanks for joining us today at elderlawcare.com. Strongly recommend pick up a copy of my book on Amazon. My second book, The Top 20 Elder Law Questions, is going to be released very soon on Amazon as well. But this is my current book right here, How to Slay the Metaphorical Four-Headed Beast. Patrick Kelleher on Amazon, because you will learn a lot. Folks, thanks for joining us today at Elder Law Care. Please click the subscribe button and click that notification bell because we will continue to keep you updated on other very important elder law care topics.